Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuff and Things. I'm working on this week's Creative Cat Crew Color Challenge, and I've already got started on it, and I thought there were a couple of points I wanted to make. Stampin' Up! Is coming out with some new alcohol markers. I am a certified Copic colorist, so I wanted to talk a couple of points about that, as well as I'm going to create 2 versions of this card and compare with you the difference between the 2, because I think the one way I'm going to do it is going to be really cool. So the first thing is, really quickly, you can use these, this is a color for Copics. You can get it on the Copic website and download it from Imagination International. If you do want the Stampin' Up! Alcohol markers, you could use this same strategy to do some color matching. So I have my color swatches here that I will lay down. We have 5 colors to use today for this challenge. 3 blues, Whisper White, and Real Red. So what I did to find my matching colors was used my color chart. For Real Red, well, I've got the blues. Let's do blue. So on the blues, I needed to do a soft sky, which is way up here in the B000. So I kind of skipped this one because the coloring that I'm going to do is very small areas of color. It's going to be kind of a clean and simple style card. So for soft sky, I skipped it because I feel like B12 is what I'm going to use to match the Marina Mist. This is B12. It's a little bit lighter, but I think it's close enough. And then Pacific Point, I'm using B14. It's a very close match. For Real Red, when I flip to my red chart here, it seems to me my favorite color to use is R29, and then I grabbed a little bit darker R46. So those are my 2 reds that I'm going to use for coloring. And again, I have very small spaces. The other color that was called out is black, so I picked what's called the cold gray color tones, and I'm going to use C1, C3, C5, and then C10. So I've already taken these little pieces. I'm using a stamp set. It's called Sitting Here, and I'm going to make a simple scene. I'm going to use the 3 pillows, the cat, and the bench, or the hanging, swinging love seat. I'm going to do some very simple light coloring. This is my second set. I've already colored these once, and when I color them, I'm just going to show you that the way alcohol markers work is, since these are such small spaces, I'm just going to do very light colors, and this particular pillow is going to be light blue and white. So I was already halfway done when I thought, oh, I need to get this on tape because I want to show you guys some tricks. Alright, so that's 1 pillow done. Now to add a little bit of depth to this, I'm going to be grabbing C3. It already has some hints of shading, so I'm going to go ahead and emphasize those with the C3, which will, when I finish with my effect that I'm going to show you guys, will make this pillow look very pillow-like. I really like this little square pillow. I think it is very cute. Because it has actual leaves, I added G40 and G43, just very light green, because there are a couple of leaves on here that you can't really ignore that they need to be green. But it'll just be a hint of green. So I am using just the lightest, featheriest touch I can. Okay, now we're going to do our last pillow, which was going to be red. So, one other trick. Don't know if the blendabilities will have it, but these are airtight pens, and certain colors, like I have a problem with C1, C3, and R27 and R29, you can see all the red. It tends to pool and pressure builds up, so I always leave both ends open for these few colors that just either they're my particular pen barrels, or I've actually had other people have the similar problems with the same colors, so it might be just the way the color behaves. And so I always let both ends breathe so that I don't get a pool at the end and then a blob. Blobbing is no good. All right, so there's our 3 pillows. And the next thing I'm going to do is grab my C10, which is a very, very dark gray. And because I don't want any white to show, I'm going to darken the edges. That was my second set of pillows. My goal today is to take my flower forming tools that I have and make one set of pillows rounded and compare them to a set of pillows flat, and I want to see what a difference it makes. Okay, so I have to darken these edges. I have not darkened the edges of my first pillows yet. I have a cat. I only did one of the cat. He needs his edges darkened too. I also do not like fussy cutting because my hands are problematic, so I prefer die cuts. So this was going out on a limb for me, a stretch, to actually have to fussy cut all these pieces out. But there are no die cuts to buy for this set. Oh, I still have the round one. All right. Flower forming tools. I started with flower forming before I was very early on to crafting, and I had surgery and I had a long recovery, so I signed up for these classes. And part of the toolkit that you needed was to have a flower forming tool set. So you have some various pads. This one is for gluing on. This one is for putting lines in leaves. And then this guy, which is just a thick foam pad that is used to stamp on, is what I'm going to use to form my pillows on. I am going to use a round tool like this. I'm going to keep my sets very separate from each other, and I'm going to start forming my pillows to make them look 3D. Okay. Of course, the round one is what gave me the idea to see how 3D I could actually make it. I might regret not having done a second cat. We will see. Okay, so I have 3 rounded pillows and I have 3 flat pillows, and I even stamped, but I haven't quite colored. I don't think I'm going to color this one. I'm just want to see what the difference is. So if we have our flat pillows, and there's something like that, and then over here we have our rounded pillows. Of which I would have some foam. Either one of them I would probably pop up. But from my view, and then we have a cat. So here's the cat sitting in front of that one. Very cute, but it's very flat looking to me. Now let's see what this kitty looks like in front of the... see now from my eyes, and I can't really lift it and show you the angles, but just look comparing the two, I definitely like the 3D. So these tools you can get as a kit. This is a Sizzix Susan's Garden set. I think this is even a, I remember doing ceramics years ago and pottery, and I think this is just a pottery metalworking, or I mean any kind of a media working tool. And I used this very thick, dense foam pad to do the shaping in, and you can probably get that separately too. So now I'm going to put it together, and I will come back with it. I might even assemble both of them and then be able to hold it up and show you guys the angles so that you guys can see what you think. Hey, I'm back. I have finished both cards, as is how things work out with me. I could not make them both the same. I found a flaw in this one and had to trim it down quite a bit more after I had already left this one with as much white space as I could have. This is the one that I spent all the time doing the floral work to round the edges and dome the pillows to make them pillowy, and I even domed the cat a little bit. But I find when I go look at this one, I can tell in real life that it is flatter. Each element is popped up though, so it still looks very cute. I don't know whether I would spend the time again to dome the pillows. Even though I like the effect, I don't think in the end, when you're looking at these two cards together, they're both a little bit different, but they are both very cute. And it was a good experiment for me to see that sometimes, in the end, that extra effort to be unique isn't necessarily required to have a very cute card. So hopefully you have found all of my tidbits today interesting, and I certainly found it to be an interesting discussion. One last little bit, this Express It. This is the Copic brand of paper. Is a very gray white. This paper back here is Whisper White. It is a very yellow white. So that is something to think about when you're getting all these different papers. The colors don't often match up, and especially with the Copic Express It, it is like 3 times more expensive than the Whisper White or the Nina cover copy. And it definitely is a different color, though in person it's not that different, but I can certainly tell that it is different paper. So that's about all I've got for the day, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and I thank you very much for watching.